There were a bunch of guys that were working out in their club when a cell phone rang. So one of the guys ran over, picked it up, opened it up. There was a female voice on the other end. "Hi, darling. Hi, sugar. Hi, honey. I just want you to know I'm just down the street at the mall, and I've been shopping this morning, and I found an Autumn Haze mink coat on sale. It's only $1,500. I've always wanted one." Well, then, if you want it so bad, perhaps you should get it. And she said, "Oh, thank you, thank you." And one other thing, on my way into the mall this morning, I stopped at the Mercedes dealership. The new models are in, and I found one I just fell in love with. How much? $60,000, only $60,000. The salesman said that was really a deal. He said, "Well, then if you really need it and want it, then you ought to get it, but be sure to get one with all the options included for that price." Oh, thank you. And just before you hang up, just one more thing, sugar. One more thing. I want you to know the real estate agent called. You know that one we talked to last year? And the house that I always wanted is on sale today. You know, the one with the English garden and the one with the swimming pool by the ocean? You know, and I went and looked in our checkbook. We have enough money to pay for it right now. Could I get it? Well, if you really want it that bad, but before you bid $450,000, though, go to $420 and see if you can get it for that. "Oh, honey, darling, sugar, that's just wonderful. I'm just so happy." And she hung up. And he pressed the off button and folded the phone, held it up and said, "Can anybody tell me who belongs to this phone?" Well, we're doing the next to last in this series that we're calling There's an App for That. Because most of us are carrying in our pocket, our purse right now, something with a lot of buttons on it that looks like this. And whatever you need, you press the button and it comes up. It's amazing what those applications can do for you. Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount presents a great application to us. He says that whenever we need something, we need to turn to God and to ask Him. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open to you. He says, and to everyone who asks receives. Well, we have a series called There's an App for That. It's based on John chapter 8, verses 31 through 32. These words of Jesus are recorded there. "If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." The application we're going to look at this morning comes right out of Paul's letter to the Galatians, Galatians chapter 5 and verse 1, where he writes, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to the yoke of slavery." Our aim is to come to grips with the life that God offers and the truth that He lays forth in Scripture. And when we know that truth, it frees us to live our lives in a way that's pleasing to God and a lot more fulfilling. That's why they're called apps, life applications. Some of the truths that we've encountered so far in this series are: nobody's perfect. You can't please everyone. You're going to die. The joy is in the journey. In other words, we learn to have fun along the way, not just at the destination. And life isn't easy. This morning's truth has amazing power for those of us who are struggling with bitterness or resentment or feelings of hopelessness. The truth is, and it sounds confusing at the first, the truth is, whatever you're facing today, you don't have to. You don't have to buy the mink coat or the Mercedes or the house on the ocean. And the less that you feel like you have to, the less you feel like you ought to or you should, the happier and healthier you're going to be. How often, I don't know about you, but I still catch myself saying it, even though I'm aware of what it is. How often do you use the term, "I have to"? I'll bet you before you're finished lunch today, you'll catch yourself using it at least once or two times. I have to get this work done tonight before I go to work tomorrow. I have to get this gift for the party. I have to visit my parents this weekend. I have to go to college. I have to lose some weight. And that's where Alan was when he went to Dr. Chris Thurman for a little help about the bitterness and the resentment. he was having in his marriage. I had to marry her, he said. I didn't have a choice. You've got to understand that. Not a choice. I'm not the kind of person who would ask a girl to have a baby out of wedlock, and you know I don't believe in abortion. He and his wife have dated through college, and then in their senior year, Ann got pregnant. As much as Alan loved Ann, he didn't feel ready to get married. He was really feeling the pressure to do something he wasn't ready to do, but he married her anyway. And he carried into their marriage all kinds of busloads of anger and resentment toward Ann. The life application that set Alan free was this one: you don't have to. And the counselor helped Alan to see that the bitterness that he was feeling and carrying around had to do with his refusal to see that all the time he still had choices in his life, both before Ann became pregnant and afterward. He chose to become sexually involved. Even though that's not uncommon today, it was still his choice. He chose not to be too careful about birth control. And when Ann became pregnant, they both had choices to make, and because of their personal values and feelings about abortion, they both chose to get married. It wasn't something they had to do. Both Alan and Ann had choices. But not facing this truth, this application, you don't have to. By not dealing with the responsibility of the choices made, Alan chose to believe that he was forced into marrying Ann. And because he believed that, he resented her, and he blamed her for the choice that he thought he had to make. The truth is, whatever we're facing, whatever we've done, we've always had some options available to us, even though they didn't seem like options at the time. One of the most difficult tasks we all face in life is taking responsibility for what we do and for how we feel. The natural human tendency is to blame somebody else. We've all heard it say, it's the way I was brought up. I'm not responsible. I'm just this way. And we're blaming somebody else. It's the ultimate cop-out. And this was Alan's struggle in his marriage with Ann. Alan didn't want to take responsibility for the choices that he made. And so he fell into the trap, the have-to trap. And it made his relationship with his wife a mess. George Bernard Shaw once said, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances."